When everyone is digging for gold, it's good to be in the picks and shovels business. The saying is closely related to the California gold rush, when most people who went looking for gold didn't find any. But the sellers of tools like picks, shovels, and other essentials made a fortune. Today, we will focus on a company which is closely involved in the much talked about GLP-1 business, which is used for the treatment of diabetes and obesity. Disclosure: this video is for educational purposes, so viewers can understand how a business can be analyzed. This should not be taken as an investment advice. Please do your own due diligence or consult with your financial advisor before taking any investment decision. I have holdings in the company being discussed today. Shaily Engineering Plastics Limited is a company engaged in the manufacturing of high precision molded plastic products. The company has three major segments: consumer, healthcare, and industrial segment. As of quarter 2 FY25, the company derives 72.2% of the revenue from consumer segment, followed by healthcare segment at 19.5% and 8.3% from industrial segment. The share of healthcare revenue in the second quarter last year was 12.3%. Within the consumer segment, company caters to home furnishings, FMCG packaging, LED lights, toys, and carbon steel furniture. The industrial segment covers automotive components, appliances, and high performance engineering components. The healthcare segment covers platform devices, drug delivery devices, and pharmaceutical packaging. The company has a lot of prominent clients in each of these segments. In the consumer segment, Gillette, IKEA, P&G, HUL, and Corby are some of their major customers. In the industrial segment, the company has GE Appliances, Garrett, Advancing Motion, Schaeffler, and Ambient to name a few customers. Out of all the segments, it is a healthcare segment that excites us the most and will be the primary focus of our investment thesis today. The executive chairman, in his message in annual report, mentioned that they anticipate the contribution from healthcare devices to be 25% of the company's revenue in 3 years. In the healthcare segment, the company has a portfolio of drug delivery injectable devices, including pen injectors, auto injectors, wearable injectors, and other specialty devices, which it supplies to major pharmaceutical companies. And the company also works with global pharma majors in the contract manufacturing of drug delivery devices. Let's have a look at the company's major drug delivery devices. Protean is a reusable or disposable injector for the injection of insulin and can also be used for some alternate therapies. Protean is an auto injector for delivery of Liraglutide and Ozempic. NIO is an automatic spring-driven device for delivery of GLP-1 drugs. It is an important device as the company has claimed that they are the only manufacturers of spring-driven device other than Novo Nordisk's own IP device. The company has Maxim, which is a reusable or disposable device for the delivery of insulin and some alternate therapies as well. Also, it has Axiom, which is used for the delivery of teriparatide, which is a osteoporosis drug, and they have a wearable injector as well in their list of drug delivery devices. The company has pioneered a set of drug delivery devices for the delivery of insulin and GLP-1 drugs. Insulin is a hormone used to control blood sugar in diabetes patients, while GLP-1 drugs are used for the treatment of diabetes and obesity. First, let's talk about insulin. As we just saw, the company does have a lot of delivery devices for the delivery of insulin. Let's look at why this could be an immediate opportunity for Shaily Engineering Plastics Limited. The global insulin market currently is dominated by three major companies: the Novo Nordisk, Eli Lilly, and Sanofi. They have a combined market share of more than 90%. Insulin prices recently has been cut by almost 70% by the pharma majors. Novo Nordisk is currently focusing on GLP-1 drugs and they are slightly moving away from the insulin, which should create more opportunity for generic players to gain share in the insulin market. For ease of self-use, some of these insulin used to come in pre-filled injector pens. Novo Nordisk used to manufacture its own injectors for these purposes. They recently announced they are going to phase out production of insulin pens. Also, one of the largest manufacturers of insulin pens, Ypsomed, has sold out its business to medical technology and devices. With prices of insulin going down and many players focusing elsewhere and curtailing insulin pen production, more and more opportunities will arise for a player like Shaily Engineering Plastics Limited. The trend is already visible as the company announced a purchase order of 10 million on IP insulin pens they received in this year. Apart from insulin pens, a greater opportunity could rise from GLP-1 drugs. GLP-1 drugs imitate GLP-1 hormones. GLP-1 hormones are released normally when you eat food. It affects the brain's hunger center and makes you feel full for a longer time. Also triggers release of insulin and reduces glucagon secretion. This way, GLP-1 drugs can be used to treat type 2 diabetes and obesity. GLP-1 drugs are administered as subcutaneous injections in easy-to-use pre-filled dosages. This is where Shaily Engineering as a drug delivery manufacturer benefits. Right now, the GLP-1 market is dominated by two companies, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly. Of this, Novo Nordisk has the largest market share. The GLP-1 drug market is now dominated by two products, Semaglutide and Liraglutide. Liraglutide is marketed as Victoza for the treatment of type 2 diabetes and Saxenda for weight loss. Semaglutide is marketed as Ozempic for type 2 diabetes and as Wegovy for weight loss. The main difference between the two is that Semaglutide is injected once a week while Liraglutide is injected once a day. Eli Lilly also launched a drug called tirzepatide, which is sold under brand name Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for weight loss. Eli Lilly also has a drug by the name Liraglutide. Novo Nordisk has their own injector pen for the delivery of these GLP-1 drugs. Due to lack of capacity, it also has deals with Ipsomed for auto-injector pens. So it was difficult for Shaily to make a deal with the innovator as they already have own IP pens and tie-ups with a major player. The opportunity comes from the fact that Liraglutide is already off patent and Semaglutide is going off patent in select markets in 2026 like China, India, Canada, Brazil, etc. The Semaglutide sales right now is very less in the rest of the world markets. With the patent expiring, generic drug manufacturers who are working with Shaily Engineering will be entering this lucrative market. As a lot of our investment thesis is based on Novo Nordisk patents, so it will make sense to look at Novo's current sales trajectory. If you look at Liraglutide brands, sales for both Victoza and Saxenda are coming down. Victoza sales are down in all geographies. Victoza sales are down by almost 30% primarily from decline from US in 2023 and its sale is further down in 2024 as well. However, the weight loss brand Saxenda has increasing sales in the rest of the world. In 2023, if you look at 9 months in 2024, Saxenda sales are increasing only in the rest of the world. It seems like the company is very successful in moving the patients in US from the patent expired Liraglutide to weekly therapy Semaglutide. It's usually a tactic used by large pharma companies to move their patients to newer drug before the expiry of the patents so that they don't lose a significant share to generics. Teva has recently launched generic Victoza in US and looking at launching Saxenda next year. However, it should be noted that many doses of Victoza are in shortage list as per FDA as of December 2024. On Semaglutide, the sales have been significantly increasing in both Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic is now the world's largest selling diabetes medicine. Ozempic sales has increased by 60% to 13 billion USD in 2023 and obesity care sales has increased by 147% to $5.8 billion. For the 9 months in 2024, the GLP-1 diabetes injectable sales have grown by 26% to $12.7 billion and obesity care sales by 44% to $6 billion. Company is reported to have significant capacity constraints. A rollout of Wegovy has started with capped volumes in international operations. The availability of Semaglutide brands in the rest of the world is severely limited by Novo's capacity constraints. This means currently the biggest hurdle to growth in these products is Novo's capacity. Novo is investing billions for expansion of its capacity now. However, it may take some time for these capacities to become online. As per reports indicate, almost 2 million Americans are using compounded version of these GLP-1 drugs as these drugs were in the FDA shortage list. This would mean a great opportunity to the generic drug manufacturers who would enter these markets once the patents expire. A lot of opportunity lies in the rest of the world market where Novo couldn't even supply significantly due to capacity constraints. Since we understood that there is a lot of opportunity for generic players in the GLP-1 market, let us look at Shaily Engineering's existing projects. They have partnered with many players for the supply of injector devices for various drugs. As per the data that we have gathered from various investor calls, the company is working with 5 to 6 players on Liraglutide projects. In teriparatide, they have projects with 7 partners and 14 to 15 players on Semaglutide projects. Also, the company is working with 2 companies in tirzepatide projects for NCE1 filing. The patent for tirza is expected to expire in 2036, so can't expire any major commercial supply until then. Teri is expected to be launched in Europe by first quarter in calendar year 25. The company also has 2 projects on lanreotide as well. Altogether, it seems Sema would be the greatest opportunity due to their major presence in this segment. Let's look at what kind of order book the company expects. The company is expecting to complete a sale of 17 to 18 million insulin pens by the end of this financial year. This includes contribution from the 10 million order company received recently. The quarterly volume is expected to double by Q4 this financial year. The company is expecting a sale of 1 million pens on launch of Liraglutide and 2 to 3 pens by FY27. Semaglutide is expected to be the major opportunity with 6 to 7 million pen sales expected in calendar year 25 with commercial supplies starting and part of the sales spilling to calendar year 26. The company expects to win pen sales from 70% of the generic players launching the Semaglutide. Taking this into consideration, the company is rapidly expanding its capacity. It's increasing its capacity for insulin pens from 11 million to 35 million pens, almost 3x capacity. It is expected to be completed in 14 to 16 months by financial year 27. Semaglutide pen capacities are to be increased to 35 million pens from 10 million now by first half of calendar year 26, and that's almost 3x. Capacity buildup is to be in the Toby, NIO and the Protean platforms. The company has a current capacity of around 25 to 30 million pens if we consider the other drugs and therapies. So with these expansions, the company will have a combined capacity of 100 million pens by financial year 27. So this will enable the company to increase its revenues significantly. Shaily Engineering has a very long list of clients. The company hasn't disclosed what kind of projects they do with various pharma companies due to confidentiality. I have tried to look at each of these companies to understand where they are in terms of various drug launches. Shaily Engineering does contract manufacturing of insulin pens for Sanofi and is marketed as All-Star Pens. And Sanofi is one of the largest players in the insulin market. And the client Sun Pharma is the first Indian company to receive approval for generic Liraglutide in European Union and the second in United Kingdom. Sun also seems to be working on other GLP-1 drugs as well. And the client Teva is a very large generic player and they are the first to launch generic Liraglutide in the US and is expected to launch Saxenda next year. NATCO Pharma Limited recently announced that Mylan and Novo Nordisk has reached a settlement of the US patent litigation related to generic Ozempic. NATCO and Mylan have partnered on the development of generic Ozempic products. The terms of the settlement are confidential. However, NATCO has announced that its manufacturing partner is Tellis. Both Tellis and NATCO appear in Shaily's client list. Adelvo is the first company to secure European Union approval for Liraglutide. Pharmathen and the company seems to be working on generic Semaglutide with Sandoz. Shaily first started developing insulin pens for Wockhardt. Having said this, the company did mention that the same pharma company may be working with multiple pen manufacturers, so we cannot say for sure that it will be Shaily who will be the pen supplier for the projects we just mentioned. This just shows that many of the healthcare clients that Shaily has is in advanced stages of various drug launches that will benefit the company. Promoters currently hold a stake of 43.81% stake in the company. There was some reduction of stake in 2022. One of the promoter groups, Bharat Sanghvi, who was not involved in the company's regular functioning, relinquished some of his stake and sold some of his shares. Also, the company had to raise 150 crores through preferential issue via private placements to Lighthouse Funds and White Oak Funds in 2022 for capacity expansion. India account funds by White Oak and the Lighthouse Fund still hold stake in the company, even though they have reduced some stake over the last few quarters. Lighthouse has sold almost 4.40% of the stake to Motilal Oswal Small Cap Fund. Motilal Oswal is the largest institutional investor with a stake of around 7.67% in the company raised in the last 2 quarters. Also, company does have Ashish Kacholia, the ace investor, as one of the investors. He has reduced his stake from 7.21% in 2021 to 3.22% in the last quarter. Recently, there has been an off-market gift of 1.85% to Mahendra Sanghi to Shaily Sanghi. So overall, on an analysis of the shareholding, it seems like the promoter holdings has been quite stable over the last many years and has a good institutional presence as well. The company is currently trading at a price earnings ratio of 161, which is very expensive. For a very fast growing company, valuing on the basis of the price earnings ratio may not be fair. On a YOY basis, the profit after tax for the second quarter has grown by 103%. So the PEG rate, which is price earnings by growth rate for the company, is 1.58, which is not very bad. So the company has to continue to grow at a very high rate to justify the very high valuations. If you consider the revenue potential of the company, let's analyze the 10 million recent Insulin Pen order. There has been international campaigns which wanted Novo, Eli Lilly and Sanofi to supply insulin pens at $1. So if you consider an unofficial price of 60 rupees per pen for Shaily, that order alone will be worth 60 crores, and the company is expecting more such orders to follow. The revenue from healthcare sector last year was 106 crores, and the GLP-1 pen injector may be costing 2 to 3 times the insulin pen price, and these commercial supplies may start as early as 2025. But having said all this, if the company cannot sustain the growth rate, the markets may not take it lightly. No analysis would be complete without the risks being covered. One major risk that we see is closely linked to the GLP-1 opportunity is the US FDA regulations. The company mentioned about in the recent concall as well. Even though the company has a lot of quality certifications, they haven't been audited by the US FDA. This inspection is going to happen somewhere in the future. The company now supplies dossiers to its partners by filing drug applications. In view of this risk, actually the company has already started automating QMS documentation, and this may take 24 months to be completed. The second major risk is the size of GLP-1 opportunity. It's very difficult to project the exact demand for the Semaglutide. As discussed already, the company is in the process of expanding their capacity by almost 3x to 35 million pens in Semaglutide by the first half of calendar year 26. Any delay in approval could significantly affect capacity utilization. Any patent challenges from the innovator Novo Nordisk on the drug would delay the launch of Semaglutide by generic manufacturers as well. The company's share prices has almost increased by 3 times this year and are trading at very high price earnings ratio. Any slowdown in growth could bring down the share prices significantly. The company is expecting a market share of 70% from the generic Semaglutide. This would significantly depend on the timeline of approval and launch of their partners. For instance, the launch of teriparatide in US has been delayed multiple times. And the risk that we see is the oral GLP-1 drugs. Novo Nordisk has also launched an oral semaglutide by the name Rybelsus. Rybelsus sales grew by 66%, although on a lower base. Currently, Rybelsus is available only in lower doses and administered daily. However, Novo has submitted for approval for higher doses. Rybelsus is currently only approved for type 2 diabetes. Shaily Engineering Plastics Limited is well positioned to capitalize on the GLP-1 opportunity, despite its high valuations. With capacity utilization below 50%, the company can double its revenue by fully utilizing existing facilities. It is also rapidly expanding its capacity to nearly 100 million pens annually by financial year 27, further boosting revenue potential. In the near term, the company can benefit from the insulin pen market as major players exit or phase out production. Generic manufacturers of GLP-1 are expected to enter the market, creating demand for GLP-1 drug delivery devices when GLP-1 patent expire in some market. The company is expected to fulfill significant orders for insulin pens, teriparatide, and GLP-1 pens next calendar year. IQVIA forecasts estimate the GLP-1 drug market to reach $131 billion by 2028, presenting substantial growth opportunities. Now let us consider the long-term opportunities. Shaily's UK-based subsidiary, Shaily Innovations, collaborates with partners to design and develop advanced drug delivery devices. The company is working on nasal drug delivery devices in addition to GLP-1 devices. Other major players in drug delivery device manufacturing, such as Ipsomed, have 70 commercial projects and 150 clinical trials across various therapies for oncology, arthritis, and fertility. These highlight the untapped potential in drug delivery devices for Shaily in the long term. Shaily, as a pen device manufacturer, stands to gain significantly at this point, reflecting the saying, when everyone is digging for gold, sell shovels.